Warning: the following video contains 1 hour of a brown horse stuffed animal raving about how much he loves Avatar. If you're not keen on that style of content, or you just genuinely hate the franchise for some inexplicable reason, you've clicked on the wrong video. This video is rated MP for maximum positivity. Proceed at your own risk. Enjoy! What is up, people of the internet? This is Brownstone coming to you with a brand new video, and welcome back to the Producer channel. This is the video you've all been waiting for. This is the video that I've been building up months to. After years and years of waiting, delayed release dates, behind the scenes leaks, rumors, theories, speculations, what have you. And all the interviews and stuff also. Avatar: The Way of Water is finally out in theaters. And so is my review of it. Not in theaters. You guys, my videos will never be in theaters. But yeah, you get what I mean. The movie is finally in theaters. Let me tell you, this has been a long time building up to, and I'm not kidding. This movie, was subject to so many delays, and it became a running joke that the Avatar sequels would never ever see the light of day because of constant delays. Well, the movie's finally out, and let me tell you, it has been a long journey to get to this movie for me. Ever since I first saw the Avatar re-release in theaters, I've been so fascinated with Avatar as a franchise, as a movie, as a concept even. Just the very idea of dedicating a franchise completely to environmental messages, and then front loading it with such amazing shots, amazing characters, and amazing story, and story to go with it. It's just nothing short of incredible, and the fact that this is really the brainchild of James Cameron, who came up with the idea all the way back in the 1990s. Yeah, Avatar as a franchise is so incredibly special, despite what the masses of the internet may tell you. And so, finally, I'm here to talk about my thoughts on it. And you guys may have noticed that I've been hyping up this movie for the better half of the last few months. And the reason why for that is because of James Cameron's comments that if this movie underperforms, then it'll be the end of the franchise. I wanted to build up hype and anticipation for the movie, so when it comes out, people will show up in droves and make that box office. I still stand by every single statement I made, and you guys will soon find out why. But I'm saying this just in case many of you are curious as to why I mass-produce Avatar videos. It definitely isn't because I just wanted to make more Avatar videos. Okay, it's definitely because I wanted to make more Avatar videos. But the main driving motivation in drumming up hype and stuff was still a really huge driving factor. And so, what do I think of the movie? That's what you guys are probably wondering. After spending so much time hyping up the movie, building anticipation for it, what do I, as the number one Avatar hype guy, think of it? Well, I am pleased to say that not only do I think this film is good, not only do I think this film is awesome, not only do I think this film is wonderful, not only do I think this film is outstanding, I think it is phenomenal. Yep. And it is better than the original by a massive landslide. It's not even a contest. I mean, where do I even begin with this movie? It's gonna be really hard to articulate all my thoughts on it, because I've literally just seen it. So, what do I even talk about? Okay. So I should probably go over the plot, as I normally do with the movies. So, a spoiler warning is now in effect. If you guys have not seen Avatar: The Way of Water, I'm gonna tell you right now, please do. Please do. It's totally worth it. Please see it multiple times. You'll need to in order to understand every single detail. And yeah, you guys can go back to my review after you guys have seen it. If you guys have already seen Avatar: The Way of Water, which I imagine you guys probably have already, then stick around, because we got a lot to talk about. Your Uncle Brownstone is gonna be here all night. So the film starts with an opening shot, just like the first film. Right off the bat, there's a lot of first film parallels, and I think that really helps make it an extension of the first first film's world. Unlike what one review said, it's not really retconning anything. It's like more like it's more like an extension of it. It's not a rehash, it's an extension, like Sam Worthington said. So as I said, we have this gorgeous opening shot. We go to the clouds just like the original, and then we have this beautiful shot of Pandora. We see the banshees, aka Ikran's flying, then we have this sort of family montage. One thing I want to touch on is that there's sort of this parallel. No, the film kind of starts with Neytiri, right, singing the song chords. The song that was heavily promoted and stuff. The song chords. So she's singing that at the beginning of the film and the end of the film. So that's our main poetic parallel here. So she's singing, and the music is playing as we go through a family montage, where Jake Sully's narration, Jake Sully narrates is what happened in the aftermath of the first Avatar movie and stuff, and how they raised the family and all that, and we have this gorgeous rendition of the main Avatar theme. I'm so glad they did not abandon the main Avatar theme, because the main Avatar theme is iconic. With the new composer coming on, I was a little afraid that Simon Fraglin would kind of abandon the main theme entirely in order to focus on an entirely new theme. But thank goodness they kept the very DNA of the franchise intact, and I commend them for that. It would have been so easy to just stick to the new themes and not make this anything like the original. This does have its downsides, and I will touch on that in a bit. Yeah, but all in all, the use of the main theme is outstanding. And Jake Sully narrates happiness is simple, sort of like that. Funny enough, it's a soundtrack name also. So now we know where to find it. But happiness can't last forever, he says. And then we see a star in the sky. And lo and behold, look who it is! The humans are back. The RDA is back. Yes, those Na'vi genociding maniacs, those Nazis, they're back, and they're back with a vengeance. They terraform the forest, and then we cut to 1 year later. Here, and we get some time with the kids and stuff. I can't remember everything that happened in the beginning section, but one thing I do one thing that immediately stuck out to me was that we have we have a hunting scene. Now this is something many people theorized would be in Avatar: The Way of Water, specifically because it was cut out of the original film. It's back in the extended edition, extended collector's cut, but it's not in the original theatrical cut. So people are wondering if that sort of ceremony was going to make some sort of reappearance, and it does. Only in the form of a war. Yep, the Na'vi and the humans are at war. They've been at war for a year now. They tear up the RDA stronghold and stuff. There's this cool action scene, and we also have this interesting moment with villain with Na'vi Avatar Korra. Now it's been long confirmed that Korra would be back for the sequel, and many of you assume that Parker Selfridge, the other villain, would be back. Well, I hate to break it to you, he isn't. And this is and right off the bat, I'm gonna say this is one of my gripes with the film. I wouldn't say it's a major flaw, but it is a flaw nonetheless. And since I want to be fair, I want to point it out. If you guys were theorizing Parker's role in this film, stop theorizing. He's barely in it. He's only in it for one scene with human Korra's speech. What a waste. I know I'm sounding negative right now because this really bugs me. It's nothing this film did. Far from it. It mainly has to do with that setup. That genius setup that the re-release setup. Basically, if you're wondering what that is, well, if you guys saw the re-release of Avatar in theaters, which I imagine you guys probably have, well, I'm gonna tell you right. I'm gonna tell you right here. Here, in case you guys didn't notice, James Cameron added a 10-second bit when the humans are going back home to Earth in the film's epilogue, and where Parker Selfridge says to Jake, "You know this isn't over." Like right before that, Neytiri's about to shoot, and then Jake essentially tells her to calm, todo chocolino, sort of like that, and so sort of like what she said to him early in the film. And then Parker Selfridge says, "You know this isn't over," and it's a really chilling bit. And the way he says it makes it seem like, "Oh, I'm coming for you, Jake. Like I'm coming for you, just like Quark is. I'm gonna be back for you and for you." And he's only in it for one scene. One scene. Like it's nothing this film did. I know I'm particularly stuck on it, but this is just such a waste. Like it's nothing this film did. I will continue to reiterate that. It's more so down to that setup. Like James Cameron didn't have to include that as a sequel hook. He didn't have to get so many fans theorizing about Parker's role, and only for him to, like, literally not be in it. If you were to take Parker out of that shot of human Quark speaking, it would have made no difference to the plot whatsoever. Sort of like Norm's character. And yeah, I know I'm particularly really mad about this, and I really want to move on because I don't like being negative. But this is just, it's just like such a waste. It's such a waste of the actor. Why even get the actor for Parker to come back? Like he must have really loved being on the first film if he agreed to come back for just one scene. Actors don't generally do that, but this guy did. What a chump! What a chump! Anyway, moving on. During that fight, we see two members of Neytiri and Jake's family, Loak and Neytirium, like Neytirium, I think. Two brothers who have this sort of rivalry. Every one of them is the tough one. One of them is the not so tough one. And Loak gets into trouble. Almost gets captured, and he's reprimanded by Jake. And Neytiri says you're going a little too hard on him. And this is not a squad. This is not an army. This is a family. You know, and one thing you'll immediately notice is that there's a lot more character in this film. So a main complaint that the first Avatar got was that there wasn't enough character development, or the character development felt surface level and shallow. Well, James Cameron has addressed that criticism and then some, because not only is there character development, there's a lot of character development in here. It's front loaded with character, and that's spectacular. It really is. You can really tell that James Cameron's heard the complaints, he's listened to them, and he's worked to address them in this film. So Neytiri gets grounded, and yeah, we get some more stuff, and I'm going to skip ahead to the part that I remember. So there's another member of Jake and Neytiri's family, a human boy named Spider, who is presumed to be Quarit's son, I think. So he wanders out to the woods one day, gets lost, and he hangs out with the kids. So he's practically family, even though it's not official. So that's actually pretty interesting that Jake was willing to take him in despite Neytiri's mistrust of humans. Neytiri must have been really nice to allow Jake to do that. Like for real. Considering her mistrust of humans, it's honestly incredible, especially what happened to her sister in the extended cut. So yeah, Spider's practically a member of the family, but Neytiri doesn't really trust him because he's a human. And right off the bat, you'll notice that Neytiri does have some trauma since the last invasion, and you can't really blame her for this. So it makes sense why she would distrust Spider like that. And so during one hunt, they stumble upon the kids stumble upon the base. Kiri, I'll tell you all the members of Jake's family. We got the Neytirium, Loak, Kiri, Spider, and Took. Tuck is the youngest sister. Sister. Uh, Aside from Tuck, Kiri's like the only girl in the family. She and Tuck are, and the rest of them are boys. Outstanding. And so they go into the woods, and they go into the woods, and they stumble upon the RDA base. They get themselves kind of captured, and they're about to be taken when all of a sudden Jake and Neytiri show up and stuff. The kids get in trouble again, and Jake realizes that the humans are hunting them. And so late one night, right, he asks, or like not ask, he more like tells Neytiri we have to leave, the humans are hunting us. And we have this really great emotional scene. I mean, this scene is actually one of the leak clips. Clips that well you know is one of the leak clips that got leaked out. That and Kiri's bit. And the score is really phenomenal here, and the acting. Oh my gosh, the acting! You can really tell right from the get go that these actors and actresses really get to show off their vocal range here. And it's not just Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana. All the characters really do get to show off their acting range, especially with the more emotional stakes and personal emotional plot and personal stakes. It really is incredible. So Jake says we have to leave. I have no plan, but I can protect this family. That I can do. And then he says the iconic line, "I know one thing. Wherever we go, this family is our fortress." And that really is a strong line. I remember when it was all the remember when it was in all the marketing and stuff. That really is an iconic line. I mean, like, you can't get better than that. That really sells the emotion of it. Wherever we go, this family is our fortress. I should really trademark that, right? Anyway, so Jake and his family leave in the middle of night, and they arrive on the Metakaya shores. Before that, Spider gets captured. Sorry, I might forget some bits and then go back to them later because I'm trying to process everything at the moment. So yeah, Spider gets captured, and Quark agrees not to give him to the other science guys, if he tags along with them and stuff, and that'll actually come back into play later. So they leave in the middle. So Jake's family leaves in the middle of the night, and they arrive on the Metakaya shores, where they are greeted by Tonowari, right? I totally butchered that. Ronal and Princess Titsiera, and the Metakaya clan. And the people of the sea. Like this, Jake explains that the sky people are hunting them, and they will learn their ways. And initially the Navi people are mistrustful, because of Jake's kids like they aren't fully Navi, and then Jake shows them he has 5 fingers, so therefore he's not fully Navi either, but he led them to victory. And then Neytiri goes on a tangent about like, oh, he's Torak Makto, he led us to victory, and I really love how Neytiri explains her husband's victories to the Navi people. She's really showing off that her husband is a war hero, and I love it. Anyway, we get sort of like a parallel where Tori tells Titsiera to teach Jake's family the ways of the Metakaya people in a sort of parallel to how Moat told Neytiri in the first movie, teach Jake to learn our ways. So it's sort of like an immigrant story. So not only is it an environmental story, it's also sort of like an immigrant story. And I actually like that, because a lot of the movie is spent with Jake's family learning the Metakaya customs and learning to fit in. And So a lot of the movie is centered on that, the personal relationships, the other family formed with the tribe and stuff, and we really have like bits and pieces is where the kids get to learn the ways of the way of water through Tutsier, who's such a cool character. I wish she and Loak's romance would have gotten developed more, but it's probably safe for the third movie or something. And while that's happening, we have some bits and pieces where Quark hijacks a boat that hunts Tolkien, these big whale-like creatures, and that will be important later, that's for sure. And then we actually have a very interesting bit. Something I want to touch on. One thing this film actually accomplishes is getting you to root for the villain. Like, not in the traditional sense. And I know there's this whole like subculture of saying, oh, the humans are the good guys and stuff in the Avatar fandom and stuff. Oh, the humans are the good guys and the Na'vi are savages. I mean, I don't subscribe to that in the slightest. Check my video as to why the humans are the bad guys in Avatar, or not the good guys in Avatar for that. I do not support that argument in the slightest, and no amount of comments from Kingdoms and Castles is going to convince me. Sorry, man, your arguments are well thought out, but you still haven't convinced me. But this film actually does make you root for the villain, but not in a traditional sense. And let me tell you. So, in order to get access to Jake, Quark knows he has to learn the ways of the Na'vi. So how does he accomplish that? They go up to the Hallelujah Mountains, and we sort of like have a parallel scene into where Jake learns how to fly. Quark has to do the exact same thing, and he does it worse than Jake initially. He doesn't have as much trouble as Jake does, and I guess that's why. I guess the reason why is because, well, not much time spent on that, unlike Jake's journey. But basically, Spider acts as Quark's guide, and it really shows Quark off as a reverse Jake. Hey, hear me out. Like, what if Jake didn't join the Na'vi, and instead use everything he learned to serve the humans? That's sort of the thematic contradiction that's going on here. Like Quark's journey in this film of learning Na'vi ways really acts sort of as a reverse Jake arc. Whereas Jake learned the ways of the Na'vi to help the Na'vi, Quark is learning the ways of the Na'vi to harm the Na'vi. And that's honestly really impressive and a brilliant thematic parallel. Now, and of course he succeeds, and that really gets you to root for him. Quark and Spider really have this sort of arc where I wouldn't say bond, but it's more like they get along. They get along. Spider's all smug, like you don't know the Na'vi ways like I do, and the way he just constantly trolls Quark is so funny. But I'll never get tired of that one bit in the forest where Quark tries to speak Na'vi, and Spider's all like, you call that trying to speak the language? You sound like a 3-year-old. I gotta get laughed out of that. The comedy in this film is on point. Let me tell you. And it's never meant to distract from the attention of a scene, unlike the MCU. Yeah, guys, I love the MCU, but they go a little too heavy on comedy. This film shows them how to do it. You can have comedy, but you don't have to overplay it. I will recognize that is a valid criticism of the MCU, and this film really shows them up with that. And then back on the Metakaya Beach, there's this one bit where Loak gets involved with these young hunters and stuff, and it's played off sort of like getting into a gang and stuff. Like it's like they dare him, oh, go hunting with us beyond the reef. It's dangerous, but you can do it, right? Perhaps we asked the wrong brother. And Loak gets peer pressure kinda, and so he goes with them, and they abandon him because of course they do. And so he wakes up on the back of a Tolkien. And basically what the Tolkien are these gigantic whale creatures. that have their own customs. Particularly the no killing rule. Oh, and this token is named Payakta, I think. I don't know. I totally butchered that. I might edit the name in post. But yeah, he bonds with it, and this scene is actually pretty interesting because when I got to that bit, I remember seeing that scene before, but I had no idea where. It wasn't a leaked clip or anything, and then it hit me. That was actually the scene shown in the Avatar re-release. Yeah, if you guys stayed past the credits in September when the release came out, if you guys stayed past the initial credits, there's a special look ahead, and that scene was shown. And that, right there, is where this shot happens. The most iconic shot of the movie. It's no contest. You guys agree with me. That shot right there, it's this scene, and the way he bonds with it is so special. That comes into play later in the film, and we learn that Pattaya is an outcast because he presumably killed Na'vi swimmers and stuff, which is against Pattaya and Tolkien ways. And we learned this through the later migration that they have. So yeah, meanwhile, Kiri has her own little arc, in which she forms the bond with an underwater tree. Sorry, notification. She forms a bond with an underwater tree, and she sees her mother, or Dr. Grace Augustine. Yeah, I didn't think Dr. Grace Augustine would actually appear in the sequel, aside from that one clip, but no, they actually meet in the sort of afterlife of sorts. Right? One thing I want to mention is that this film does wonders to clear up a lot of questions that the first film posed, like how does nighttime work on Pandora, and what's the afterlife look like inside Iwa? Well, we finally get the answers. Number one, the eclipse of the moon is what causes nighttime. Yeah, it's not the traditional sense because it literally live on the moon. Like Polyphemus is the planet, and Pandora is the moon. So how does nighttime work then? Well, the sun disappears behind the moon's shadow, the planet's shadow, kinda, and that's how nighttime happens. And then what does the afterlife look like? Well, you plug into the underwater tree, and it gives you these sort of visions of sorts. So Kiri's about to learn who her mother is, and she actually knows her mother is, but what purpose does the Great Mother Iwa have for her? And Grace is about to tell her when all of a sudden she starts coughing, and then Kiri starts coughing, and she's suddenly yanked away from that vision, and she has this sort of epileptic seizure. And then so we have this bit where she's healing, and then the healers are like, this is bad, like she has this sort of like epilepsy kind of causes her to hallucinate religious sort of stuff. And that actually is pretty interesting because there's a scene earlier where Jake tells Kiri, no, you're not crazy. When Kiri says, I know you think I'm crazy, but I feel our heartbeat. The scene that was advertised in the trailers, all the trailers more like, and then what does the heartbeat sound like? So that throws some doubt into Jake's mind as to the validity of these of Kiri's claims, even though we know they are true. This scene causes some doubt. And I thought it was going to go somewhere, but it doesn't. And this is another flaw I have with the film. There are only two minor flaws I have with it. One, Parker is omitted. And two, Kiri's arc doesn't really have a satisfying resolution. It's like we were so close to getting to that resolution, and then it's left ambiguous. And that's kind of a problem. Now I get that. Now I completely trust James Cameron. And don't get me wrong. I have full faith in his judgment. So if he felt those scenes should be cut, then he had good reason to. My only problem is that, well, you have this major plot point and it doesn't get resolved. Not even the epilepsy scene gets resolved. Like, it's brought up, and then there's no conversation whatsoever. I have a feeling there was a conversation. Hear me out. You know, despite we don't see it, I have a feeling that there was a conversation scene in which we have another nighttime scene in which Jake talks with Kiri. I have a feeling that scene was there. How do I know? It's because it doesn't really strike me as something James Cameron would mess up on in the screenplay department. And what gives me more faith in this is the original deleted scenes for Avatar, the first movie, which answered so many lingering questions that were ultimately left out of the film. So I have a feeling that a scene like this was shot, and that there was a resolution. However, I don't blame James Cameron for this. I blame the studio. Because the film was already as long as it was. 3 hours and 12 minutes. The fact that he's able to get away with this in this current Hollywood climate is insane. So I have a feeling that the studio was like, oh no, your original cut's way too long, we need to shorten it. So that's what I think happened. Again, I could be wrong, but it doesn't really strike me as something James Cameron would forget. So before you guys blame James Cameron and the filmmakers for a lack of resolution, before you guys blame this movie, keep in mind, this is a movie. I know it's kind of hard to, it's pretty easy to forget because you get lost in this world, or for the entire duration, but this is a movie. Therefore, it will have scenes cut. In an ideal world, well, filmmakers should be allowed to make the 6-hour movies, 4-hour movies, 5-hour movies, but movies the way they want them to be made. Right, and there should be no scenes cut. And that's the ideal world, but the world isn't ideal, unfortunately. Unlike Pandora, this is the real world, and unfortunately, in the real world, we have money-grubbing studio executives who want many showings in theaters for more money, and why wouldn't they? Hey, money is the bottom line here. So of course they were gonna cut it. Yeah, I don't blame James Cameron and the filmmakers in the slightest. I have a feeling that when we inevitably get the extended cut, or we have some deleted scenes, there's gonna be some. We're gonna have that scene one way or another. Because I have a feeling that a conversation scene like that was shot. Like, you don't just set up a major character arc like that and then not resolve it. Yeah. So, moving on. Eventually after some meandering more Navi stuff, Korak and the gang start attacking the villages and stuff, asking for Jake's whereabouts. One thing you'll immediately notice is that Korak is way more unhinged in this film than he was in the original. And I was right on the money when I said that Korak would be 10 times more unhinged than he was in the original. I was 100% right. Because he's not just the racist grandpa here. He's a full-on Navi Hitler. He'll stop at nothing to kill Jake. He's got this personal vendetta against Jake. And he'll stop at nothing to kill him. And oh my goodness. He's ruthless in this film. Oh. I feel like that almost makes up for Parker's lack of presence emphasis on almost, because of how much of a presence Korak is in this film. Like he's out for Jake's blood, and he will not stop until he accomplishes that. So, yeah. Yeah, so he burns up the villages and stuff. Jake learns of this. There's this mini arc where we learn that Payukan, the Tolkien whale, was an outcast for allegedly killing Navi. However, we learned through Payukan's own memories that he didn't in fact kill innocent Navi. That it was actually the Sky People. But the clan doesn't know that. And we have this sort of forbidden friendship sort of thing. Sort of, you know, How to Train Your Dragon, where Hiccup and Toothless like gradually bond and stuff. We sort of have that, in which Lowak tries to discover the truth behind why Payukan was outcast, and we have this forbidden friendship kind of montage. Before you accuse this film of ripping off How to Train Your Dragon, let me let me say that this subplot absolutely works, and without it, the film would be massively compromised. You can blame the film for being derivative all you want, but at least acknowledge that it executes those plot points in a phenomenal way. If you can acknowledge that, I'll be cool with you. So the humans start attacking, attacking to draw the Navi, the Metakai Navi out, and they eventually do come out, and they start helping the Tolkien, and we learn what's being used to kill them, kill them and stuff, and we see Tiziara break down and stuff over one Tolkien's death because she was her spiritual sister and stuff. One thing I really love is the bond between the Metakaya Navi and the ocean life. Like, they act as sort of like spiritual sisters and stuff, lost family members and stuff. And I really like that. It really shows how the Metakaya are so intrinsically bonded with the ocean life that they're practically family. And I really like that. It showcases a bond with the ocean life that even Aquaman didn't show. And Aquaman is pretty cool. But this film blows Aquaman out of the water by a massive landslide. And I honestly didn't expect to say that. Yeah, come on, you'll admit it. Yeah, come on, admit it. It's true, whether you want to believe it or not. So eventually the kids get captured, and the final battle commences and stuff. And the final battle is long. It takes up a decent chunk of the climax. The final battle is really long, but every single moment was earned. Like, the film may be long. I will admit that the film does end up dragging in a couple places. But ultimately, every single bit of runtime is deserved. And the film wouldn't be the same without those plot points. Every single part of the film is laser focused, just like the original. Like the original had this huge focus on story and stuff. Now, and this film takes it a step further. It's focused on story, but it also makes time for characters and stuff. But it also doesn't have time for pointless stuff. So the reason why the film is so long is because there's a lot of story to accommodate. It's sort of like a reverse Amazing Spider-Man 2 scenario. Like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 had a whole lot of stories that would have been suited for this kind of runtime. But unfortunately, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was only 2 hours and 35 minutes, whereas this film's 3 hours and 12 minutes. So it really shows that this film knows how to dedicate time to a lot of story, because the amount of storylines and plot points on here really feels like the Amazing Spider-Man 2. But unlike the Amazing Spider-Man 2, this film has time for all of them. All of them except Curious, I guess, because they didn't really get a proper resolution. But I'm willing to make an excuse for that and say that'll be explained in the sequel. You can't answer all the questions. Part of the appeal of the first Avatar is that not all questions were answered. A lot of questions were answered because you gotta flesh out this world you've created. But part of the joy of theorizing and stuff is that some questions haven't been answered. And a lot of questions get answered here, so that's part of the joy of it. So I actually don't really mind that Curious arc got cut as much as it is a minor flaw. The fact we didn't get a resolution is bothersome, but I'm more than willing to excuse it and say she'll have a really epic reveal in the third movie. I really hope so. No, but yeah, we have a final battle that is that contains references to all of James Cameron's previous films. Well, the major ones anyway. We got references to Aliens, Terminator, even Titanic. I'm just gonna say right here, the Titanic makes up the majority of the references. And hear me out. This is how it happens. So at one point during the battle, during the 1-to-1 fight between Jake versus Korak, which is built up extremely well. Well, to the point where, like, when it actually happens, you're like, oh heck yeah. And then Kiri gets this one point. I know her arc didn't really get a satisfying resolution, but she still had an epic scene nonetheless. And that was the part where she summoned the token out of the water, and then she was able to save the Neytiri and took with the yellow breathing bubbles, I guess, whatever they're called. Well, I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me. And so eventually everyone finds one another, and the day is saved. Except for one thing. If you're expecting Quark to die again, he actually doesn't die. And there's a very interesting scene. That's sort of the culmination for Spider's arc. So Spider has the opportunity to leave Quark for dead after he and Jake have that duel, and then Jake inevitably wins, and then Quark's body falls in the water. But Spider actually does something interesting, and he saves Quark. Now I know you guys may be thinking, "Oh, that's stupid. That's stupid. He shouldn't have saved Quark." Well, hear me out. Quark is implied to be Spider's father, and a main thematic element of this movie is fatherhood. Heck, Jake even says in his narration, and the father protects. It's what gives him meaning. Which is a really thought-provoking line, especially for all families coming to see the movie. So yeah, Spider saves Quark, but doesn't go with him, and it really gives Quark a lot to think about. His fate's left up in the air, like what he's gonna do next, So he retreats. He and the humans retreat, but you have to wonder, and it leaves a lot of room for theories and speculation. Did Spider's time with Quark leave a lasting impact on the latter? Especially that act of saving. I mean, heck, Spider didn't have to save Quark, but he did, because in the end, Quark, despite being in a different body, is still technically Spider's father, and the main theme is fatherhood. So of course Spider's gonna save his father. That doesn't mean he has to go with him, but he still saves him, because that's the kind of person Spider is. He was born a human. He was born a human, and he is a human, and he still chooses to fight with them now, fight with Na'vi regardless. But he doesn't reject his human heritage, unlike Jake. And that's actually another interesting parallel I found. Another interesting detail. Unlike Jake, who completely rejects his human origin in order to join the Na'vi, and that works for his character, Spider doesn't really do that. He fights alongside the Na'vi, and he's loyal to them to a fault. But he doesn't, like, how should I phrase this? He doesn't reject his human origins, which I found really fascinating to explore. Like, Spider knows that he'll never be a Na'vi by birthright, but he still chooses his own path. It's sort of like the theme of found family versus birth family, something the Rise of Skywalker tried to do. But I think this film executes that way better. There's not a whole lot of time spent on it, but the basic components are there to make this a really satisfying resolution. You see the time Spider spends with Quark, and so when he rejects him, it's understandable, but you really feel that air of sympathy there, and you're really proud of Spider for saving Quark, but not joining him. Yeah, for some it may seem stupid, but for the but for his arc to work, the scene needed to happen. We spent all that time building up their time together, and then he saves Quark when he didn't have to. Believe me, Spider didn't have to save Quark, but what makes that scene genius is that he did. He did so despite everything Quark had done. And he still rejects him, but he still chooses to save him, despite everything Quark did. And that's gotta give the old man some things to think about. That maybe the Na'vi aren't as wild savages as he thinks. They're not as feral as he thinks they are. It really gives Quark's character Rodriguez Car's character a lot of dimension, far more than he had in the first film. Like being in a new body and and having to learn the Navi ways, obviously had an effect on his character, and it shows. So, yeah. I cannot gush about that scene enough because I really didn't expect it to happen, and the whole climax too when like when Curie gives the butterfly wings that allow breathing underwater to Neytiri, and she saves the family and stuff, and it's intercut with Loak and Loak telling Jake to breathe, calling back to an earlier scene in the movie, and then Curie does the exact same, and then Neytiri does the exact same thing to Took, like breathe and stuff. The way these things are going on at the exact same time really creates that feeling of dread. They're like, oh no, they're gonna die, and they're gonna die comforting each other. These last few words stuff, and it really sells the emotion of it. And then Curie saves them because of course she does. But it's a really great scene. Like you're really afraid Jake's gonna die there. And you're really thinking in the theater. I was really thinking, are they really gonna kill off Jake? No, they're not gonna kill off Jake. They can't kill off Jake. Oh no, they're gonna kill off Jake. Oh wait, no, they're not. No, they're not. Oh yes, they are. No, they're not. And it really gives your brain that kind of suspense. And I really like that. Honestly, it would have been a total boss move to kill off the main character. But I'm kind of happy they didn't do that. As much as it would have been a cool boss move on Cameron's part, because, well, Jake's sort of like the anchor that ties all these movies together. You can't really kill him off this early. This isn't like Batman versus Superman scenario in which you have to kill off Superman in order for Justice League to work. Speaking of which, I love Batman versus Superman, and you guys can't convince me otherwise. Snyder's awesome. But this isn't BVS. You can't kill off Superman in order for the Justice League to work. Jake has to live because he's the emotional anchor that drives the story home. You can kill him off in 5, sure, maybe even 4, but not this early. Really, maybe in 3 they can kill him off. I don't know. But even 3, it may seem too early. I do think they should kill off Jake eventually, but this is way too early for that. So I'm really glad they didn't. As much of it would have been a total subverting expectations move. It really would have been more like a Ryan Johnson expectation subverting move rather than a smart expectation subverting move. Because, well, without Jake, what do you got? Sure, you have all the rest of the characters, but Jake's sort of like that anchor, as I said, that connects these films. So you can't really have it without him yet. I do think they should kill him off eventually, but now's not the time. So I'm really glad he lives. Also, did I mention that? Also, you realize I haven't talked about Neytiri much, like Neytiri, and he dies. Yep, one of the kids dies. Bet you guys weren't expecting that, huh? Yup. In case you guys didn't know, that's been spoiled for you now. Too bad. Neytiri dies. I didn't expect that, and the way the death happens is so emotional. They're all crying and they're showing off, and that's what I'm saying. The actors and actresses really get to show off their acting range here, particularly during the emotional bits, and the things Neytiri does during that final battle. Oh, where she's threatening to kill Spider in order for Quark to release Curie. I didn't expect that in the slightest. Wow. And the way she goes full savage mode. Oh, and she actually slits Spider's throat. Oof. Ooh, that's one of the moments where I'm like, whoa, wait. You actually had the character do that? Holy, wow. What? Oh my goodness. You can understand why Neytiri is so angry here. And I'm surprised Spider still chose to stay with the Sully family after that. If I had my throat slit like that, even if it was for the greater good, I would have run away. I would have left. I would have laughed because I would have been like, heck no, this family's crazy. But my mother's crazy. But thank goodness Spider stays, and for good reason. So, yeah. If you're looking for an emotional, personal experience, this really is it. This really is it. If you didn't like that the first Avatar movie didn't have enough emotion, then you'll certainly love this one. In fact, I think this film's more for people who didn't like the first Avatar than for people who do. Hear me out, because I know a lot of people don't like Avatar, but that's all the more reason why to see this one, because this really does correct so much of the problems that many people have with the original. Well, it's more character focused. It has a greater emphasis on story, and you can really feel the passion behind every single frame. I mean, the underwater scenes are fantastic. They really are. If you don't like the first Avatar, then why don't you give this a shot? It may or may not change your mind on this franchise, but it might. I personally don't know, because I've loved this movie. I've loved the franchise since the start. So I personally wouldn't know. But what I can say is that I really love this movie. I really do. Okay, back to the plot. Back to the plot. I'll save my conclusion for later. So Jake and his so later on, Jake tells Tonori that I think it's time for us to leave far away from here as possible. We've given you enough trouble. And then Tonori says, nah, bro, you're our friend. Nah, bro, you're our friend. You're one of us now. Now you're joining us. And then Jake's like, whoa, really? Oh, thank you. And then, well, he doesn't really say that because that would have been too cliche. But the narration sells it. The grasping of hands, and Jake and his family are now sea people now. So yeah. So now once again we have another status quo shifting ending. And in one last emotional moment, Jake and Neytiri plug into the sacred tree connection to Ewa, and Jake spends some time with his deceased son Neytiri. And they shoot arrows together and stuff, and then Jake closing, and then we have Jake saying a closing narration, and then the movie ends with Jake's eyes opening. Boom! That's that iconic shot, just like the original. The movie ends on a solid bang. And I'm ready for Avatar 3 now. Bring it on! Yeah, as you can see, I love this movie, and I think it's way better than the original. Way better. Like, you guys won't believe me, but it really is. There's just so much more stakes. There's so much more tension, and there's so much more scale and world building too. As I said, the underwater scenes are fantastic, but even the scenes that aren't underwater scenes, you really feel this immense sense of scale and purpose to all of them. And mind you, I saw this in IMAX, so this could be biased, but it really makes you feel like you're actually there. Like under the sea. I'm not gonna do that. That'd be cringe. But you get the point. There's just so much more attention to detail, so much more attention to scale. And this really feels like a passion project, just like with the original. Oh, only unlike the original, James Cameron has a lot more time to share his passion with the ocean. And he puts it on full display here. You can really feel his love for the marine life. You really do. And it really goes to show the marks of a filmmaker. The fact that he was able to get away with a 3-hour and 12-minute film, incredible. Because in this current climate, it's short movies and maximum returns. So only James Cameron can get away with a 3-hour and 12-minute film because of the success behind Titanic. If Titanic wasn't a renowned classic, then there's no way James Cameron would have been able to get away with this. but he did. And the movie's all the better for it, because I don't know what you can cut. But this movie should have been longer, in my opinion. Like, not too long, because everything has to be focused. But you could add that moment with Kiri and stuff, so there's more, there's more resolution to that part, because I can't tell something's got cut. There's still some awkward cuts like in the original and stuff, so I can tell that some scenes were originally there but got cut out. So I'm curious to see all the deleted scenes in an eventual extended cut. So yeah, hopefully this does well enough that James Cameron does do so, because I sure would love to see it. Release the James Cameron cut, baby! Both films, please. Release the James Cameron cuts, plural. So yeah, in spite of my 2 minor flaws, this film I have no trouble calling underrated and a masterpiece. I know I throw that term around a lot, and I call the first one a masterpiece, but this one absolutely steals the round of masterpiece, the title of masterpiece, in my opinion. There's really hardly anything you can call bad. The stakes are so personal. The emotional scenes have so much weight. You really feel the passion behind every single frame. It really is no contest. This film is where it's at, and this works for people who both love Avatar and hate it. If you love Avatar, then you're gonna love this, because it's such a massive extension of the first film's world, and it answers so many questions. Not everything, because it's got to save some for the third film, but it answers a lot of questions that I think will surprise some of you. If you are a fan of Avatar, then go see it. You will not be disappointed. If you are not a fan of Avatar, please go see this anyway. You will not regret it. And I have no trouble giving this film a solid 9.25 out of 10. You know what? That's a little too harsh. So I'm gonna bump that up to a 9.5 out of 10. The only Achilles heel to this film are those 2 minor flaws. And mind you, they're barely flaws, because if they were major flaws, I would have taken some points off. But yeah, as of now, this is a 9.5 out of 10. It might become a 10 out of 10. It might become a 10 out of 10 if I see it again, because I am going to go see it again tomorrow. Yep, I'm going to go see the film again. So once I see it again, it might even become a 10 out of 10. But for right now, it's a 9.5 out of 10, which is really the most fair score I can give it. I have no trouble calling this a masterpiece. I would definitely recommend it to everybody. I mean, regardless if you like the first Avatar movie or not. If you love the first Avatar, go see it. If you don't love it, go see it, because it's got something for everybody. And who knows? Maybe after this movie, you'll end up loving Avatar as a franchise. I certainly hope so. What I want to do with this video, is rave about this movie for a long time, and I've done that. So yeah, there really isn't any more reason for me to stick around. I've bored you guys enough. I hope the music I put in the background's good for you. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this. I have no trouble putting it in my top favorite films of all time. So with that being said, thank you all for watching this review, and I sure hope it was insightful. I know I tend to ramble a bit and focus on way too many things. There's periods of silence. I am trying to work on that. I do plan to do a massive overhaul to this channel style of content eventually, and that includes actually scripting these videos. So yeah, I am working on some new developments for the channel, and you guys will soon see that in my eventual live stream titled "Out Producer a New Direction." So yeah, I do plan to share some developments and maybe discuss this film a bit more, because there's only so much one review can cover. I really want to share more thoughts on this film, more thoughts and details I noticed in this film. The more I see it, because I am going to see this multiple times. We need to make that box office, so go see it, guys. You will not regret it. I was right on the money about everything, so yeah, I was 100% right about my hype, and we need to make sure this film does not flop. Prove those haters wrong. Go see Avatar: The Way of Water. You will not regret it. With that being said, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to be updated on future content, and share this video with your friends so more people can be aware of how awesome Avatar is. With that being said, and I will see you all later.